Spill leaked chemicals into the Elk River.
Hundreds of thousands of citizens in West Virginia are heading into this weekend dealing with a major water emergency.
A state of emergency has been declared in West Virginia in the USA after a chemical leak into a river.
A chemical spill contaminated the water supply to more than 100,000 customers. That includes homes, businesses, even hospitals.
Just minutes ago, President Obama approved a disaster declaration for West Virginia. 9 counties are dealing with a chemical spill. It contaminated the water supply. Up to 300,000 people are being told not to touch the tap water. At least 5 were treated at a hospital.
One of the symptoms that are involved in this, or that authorities are warning residents of, is burning throat, itching hands and arms and skin, and a lot of other symptoms that are just really scary to begin with.
It's unbelievable. How dangerous is this chemical if people are exposed to it?
So, Anderson, we know that if you're exposed to this chemical undiluted, it's harmful if swallowed. It's an irritant to your eyes and to your skin.
Now it's utter chaos.
Eyes burning.
It's a zoo in here, isn't it?
It's a zoo.
If I can't take a shower, it's going to be ugly.
You can't wash the dishes. You can't take a shower. So that's more frustrating than it is nervous or upset.
The question, when will this problem be fixed?
In short, it was a mess. It was a mess.
No one was prepared for it.
Water is a prevalent feature in the state of West Virginia, and certainly some of its most remarkable places are its rivers, places where historic conduits of coal and steel and major economic drivers in terms of industry development along the canal. So rivers are a huge component of the West Virginia landscape. We're close to coal, which is the predominant fuel source for those, but also they're lined along the rivers. The rivers are essential in power production and the production of steam that ultimately produces the electricity.
I was live on the air when the governor's first tweet went out basically announcing that this had happened.
When I first found out about the water leak, I was actually in Ripley working for the day, and it was on Twitter. I'd just checked briefly, and there was a proclamation from Governor Tomblin that said, "Do not use the water in Charleston."
And at first, we didn't really know what that meant. And so I immediately sent a note to our assignment editor and said, check into this, let's see what this is. And it quickly became clear this was not a boil water advisory. This was something much more serious. And that was really the start. We were live on the air when it happened, and it just snowballed from there. This event started on Twitter. It became a social media event.
On Twitter during the water crisis, it truly was the 7 stages of grief, because no one knew how to react. You get a lot of misinformation with that panic,
And I think it's one of the best examples I've seen of the way social media very quickly engages large numbers of people and can give quick snippets of information, updates to a continuing story. The challenge for us was figuring out the information we were seeing on Twitter. Was it accurate? And how could we verify it before we then shared it with our larger audience? No matter how many times we would explain the process as it had been explained to us, viewers weren't believing what they were hearing and what they were seeing, because there had been that confusion in the beginning.
As the days wore on, everybody understood the gravity of the situation. It was a lot bigger incident than we were giving it respect for with our levity on Twitter.
This relationship between a sector of science, if you will, and the College of Media, and again, scientists are not exceptionally good communicators. We learn to communicate with scientists, but when we make that transition and try to communicate that information that we know is very valuable to the public, it can be difficult because we're not trained in those communication.
And I think it really showed us how important it is to monitor and verify.
This program in the College of Media, I think, begins to raise that awareness that we don't know as much about our waterways as we probably should.
There really wasn't a lot of information to be had in the beginning, and it took asking questions, investigative reporting, and a real sort of dogged determination to find those answers in order to get there.
There's this barrier that often exists. And the project through the College of Media is, while the science is not necessarily innovative, what's innovative is that as media experts begin to do science, begin to understand the science, and their ability to communicate that science increases, regardless of the value of the science. And so that is crazy valuable over time.
Really, West Virginians on all levels and all walks of life would serve themselves well to use the chemical spill as an excuse to be ready and proactive for the negatives that will eventually occur in life.